from a data point of view, you have vast amounts of information that, any system that is out there is generating data. People are generating data. There's so much information that's out there that it's very difficult to find what is important, what is that very small focused item to be able to say, I'm getting value from that resource.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Humans in the Loop, our video series here at Human Managed. I'm Deborah, and today I have Etienne, our client partner, here with us to talk about what he does at Human Managed, as well as his experience giving data driven service. Hi, Etienne.
Hello.
It's so nice to have you because you're not usually here, which is another point I will touch on in this interview. So, just to start off, why don't you introduce yourself, what you do at Human Manage, as well as your background and how you ended up here?
Okay. I'm Etienne. I have been with the company for about 2.5 years. My What I'm specifically doing right now is focusing on client requests, being able to turn that into client deliverables, and then tracking our progress against that, or our performance against that. So it's mainly focused on client request and fulfillment.
So, how did you end up in Human Managed?
So that's a very long story. So I will shorten it up. I have been friends with Salim for a number of years, and these are things that we were talking about years and years and years ago about doing this. I was progressing in my career, I was more client based. I was more working with organizations, and it was more trying to get into something that is a little bit more innovative and a little bit more unique, and not everybody's doing it. And so we started talking about what I could be doing here. So it's taking a lot of my experience in service delivery and service management, and turning what we have here as, say, the platform, or more importantly, the deliverables in that platform, to turn them into more of a service.
Okay, so I guess the one of the key features of Human Managed as a product or a service is that we're very data driven.
Yes.
So, as somebody with a lot of experience in client facing roles, what does data driven service mean to you? And, is there a difference between like what people conventionally think of as client service? And from your experience, like what is the differentiator?
So data really is very dry. It is very cold, and just seeing data doesn't make a lot of sense. What we're actually looking at is turning that data into information that can be used, that is actionable, that you can make decisions from. There is so much data out there there's so much noise that you need to be able to get through. Where our focus is more along the lines of making it tangible, that you can actually do something with. Where it comes into the service side is how you then turn that into something that somebody wants, right? So we can come up with all kinds of data. We can come up with what we think is important, but it really comes down to what our clients are looking at as importance, and if they want to be clients or continue to stay clients. So it really is focusing this big picture that they have access to the narrow pictures that individuals would be using, and that we can provide for them, for from a customer point of view, rather than just an information sharing point of view.
So, how does data influence your client service decisions?
Data in itself isn't. It's when we start making the pictures of what that data is actually saying is when it does, right? So we all know that there's going to be so much data that's going to be coming from so many different sources that it becomes, the way I could describe it is analysis paralysis. It's like there's so much to get through as far as the noise. What we need to do is be able to turn that into something that's usable, actionable, that decisions can be made from, that we can see what those outcomes or potential outcomes of those decisions are going to be before they're taken, that we can actually measure risk of those, excuse me, those decisions, to be able to make better choices. As far as the data itself, to be able to make that picture, we just need a massive amount of it, and then put the focuses in there You could call those insights, you could call those focus. It's more along the lines of turning that into something that somebody wants, needs, or can't live without.
Okay, so if correct me if I'm wrong, but what I hear you saying is that it really allows you to paint a better picture of potential outcomes and what the client. I help you identify what the client actually needs to achieve in order to get what they want
Correct.
in
It's
the end,
cutting
right?
out because data is very noisy. It's cutting out all that noise so that you can actually see what the picture is to then go forward what the picture could be and then make decisions accordingly.
So what's the advantage of using? I mean, when you talk about non-data driven service, right? Like I guess we think of not really just vibes, but kind of just going off like relationships and trying to like meet client needs. But what would you say is the advantage of using data as compared to, I don't know, like non-data driven service?
Because you have a full picture, you have more information available to you to be able to pull that from data, and you may find that there are certain things that you don't even see because there's so much data. If you could cut through all of that so that you are able to focus on what is important, then you're able to make more informed decisions.
Do you have like a example without naming names of how being a data driven service allowed you to better service the client?
So let me backtrack a little bit on like what I would be calling it as a service, right? So your mobile phone, right? You don't think anything about it. You can at any given time you expect it to do a phone call. You expect it possibly to do internet lookups, etc. But we've turned that phone into its own little mini computer. We can do so much with it. In fact, we're filming right now based off of that, which is just a phone, right? If we're talking about it from a service point of view, to be able to enable it to do those things that are important to us, it's very focused on, of all the things that the phone can do, what the service provider is actually providing, the access, if you will, right? It's very focused. And at any given time, I can see how much access I've used, what my parameters are that I have set up for the service that I have. Am I getting value from what I'm paying for compared to what I'm getting? Those are what actually turn it into a service. From a data point of view, you have vast amounts of information that, any system that is out there is generating data. People are generating data. There's so much information that's out there that it's very difficult to find what is important, what is that very small focused item to be able to say I'm getting value from that resource, whatever that resource may be, or this collection of resources. How am I getting value of that? Is it actually serving what I put it in place for? And is it serving what we need to do to go to the future? If we don't have the picture, that data picture, and then be able to narrow it down to what we're actually delivering as a service, it's waste at that point, waste that nobody even knows that is actually there. It just becomes, like I said before, noise. And noise is very easily ignored, right? The whole point of us is to cut through all that noise so that we can focus on what is actually important.
Okay, so I better understand like the structure slash format of how you deliver your service or like the framework on which you follow the framework that you follow when you are servicing clients. Getting into the actual service, right? What would you say is what would you say are some of your biggest challenges when providing the human managed platform service?
The challenges are more along the lines of turning what we have into that service, into those focus. So I spend a lot of time actually looking at what the actual requirements are, right? What the client is actually going to, of this big picture, what they're going to get value on, that they find it valuable, that they're able to reduce what have you. They're either able to reduce costs, they're able to reduce what I would call swivel chair, right? They don't have to monitor a bunch of different systems. They have the focus. Um, the other item that I would say is challenging is turning something that is very technical into something that is human interactive, if you will, that they're able to see what they are getting. Maybe that's not necessarily the way that I would put it. It's more along the lines of once they get what they asked for, do they still find it valuable, right? So that's a lot of what I do as far as like the fine tuning that we are looking at. To maybe I was looking at one data source, but we find that it's another data source that I need to use to enrich with. Those are the challenges that I think that we run into. And again, it's so much data for us to be able to piece through that. This is one of the strengths that I think that we have, is that we're able to immediately get some of those insights so that we can then take that forward, say these are the things that we can offer. Um, Give us your ideas and let's see how we can actually make that work together.
Okay, so I mean, somebody might hear this and be like, this, this so-called, like, if I may put it in this way, like a data consolidation service, right? So what would you say is the differentiator that Human Manage has, which you would tell clients if they ask you, why should I engage Human Manage to help my company? Like, why can't I just use something else?
Yeah, consolidation is important to actually reduce that picture, but it's still not a complete picture. It's not putting the associations, even if we don't know what those associations are when we first start. Um, a lot of what we're doing is actually bringing the data sources together in such a way that it actually makes sense as far as a bigger picture. Maybe not the macro view, but certainly more of a middle-sized view, and especially with things that weren't necessarily seen before to begin with, right? Where I think that we have a really big strength is our ability to make those associations. You have a lot of people here with different expertise that can actually bring that all together. So whereas one person that is working directly on the low end of the platform may not have security experience, we have security folks that can actually bring those pictures together or bring those different disparate data sources together to be able to make the insights that we're actually looking for. And those insights may not be what the client actually thought that they were looking for to begin with, but once they actually show what the data is actually, the story it's telling, it's compelling. It starts to say, oh, I had an SIEM before that I could make these correlations, but I had to learn the logic behind it. You're bringing it in. You don't have to have the logic to begin with. And I didn't even know I wanted that information. Now I'm able to see it. I definitely not only want it, I need that information. So those are the advantages I think that we bring.
So what are some common client pain points that you've observed over the years? Common issues that they run into, common things that they may be unsure of, or like stuff that they always want to fix. I'm sure there's some common things that people are always concerned about.
So the big one that I would say that we want to address is, again, I started talking about with analysis paralysis. There's so much information there, or there's so much little stories that are being told, that it's very difficult to find the prioritization. It is very difficult sometimes for a client, especially if they haven't seen it before, to prioritize it, right? So where I would come in is say, maybe this is more important than this, right? Whatever the case may be. The other item that we see is sometimes, unfortunately, people don't want to see what the story is, and so it's more of a human thing. Is it's like a rejection of what they're actually seeing, where it's immutable what the data is actually seeing. It's already happened in most cases, unless it's like we're going forward for something more predictive, right? If it's something's already happened, sometimes it's difficult as humans to say that really happened. So a lot of the challenges that we run into with that is, no, this did happen, or this is indicating that it will happen if you don't make any decisions on it. And we get a lot of hear no, see no, is sometimes there's a lot of pushback on what those stories are.
So I guess to wrap up, my last question to you would be, if a potential customer was watching right now, or potential client had the chance to view this, like, what would you say is the most valuable, like, out of everything you've said thus far, what would you say is the most valuable thing that Human Manage brings to the table in terms of client service?
If somebody's starting out new, it's more along the lines of, where do you want to actually reduce your work? Where do you want to focus on? Um, a lot of times we're seen more as the best way I could say it is like a cybersecurity service management team, right? We would be, oh, here's all the security things that I'm doing right now. I just want you guys to do it. It's almost like a outsource, and we're really not that. We're more along the lines of you only have certain amount of hours during the day. During the time that you have during the day, there are certain things that you should be focused on. Some things that you may not even know you should be focused on. Those are the things that are actually the ones that are important. Nobody wants to do a lot of busy work, right? And nobody really wants to do, especially like if you're in some of the organizations where there's a lot of things as far as audit, where you have to go through all of these steps to get to what you want to do. That is frustrating. So it's more along the lines of, do you want to cut down on a lot of that so that you can just focus on what you started your role for, be it that you're the C-suite, you're the operator, whatever the case may be, those are the things you need to focus on. That's where we can help. We can take all that information, say, this is what the picture is, this is where you have to stop everything to take a look at this, or this is a nice to know, but you don't necessarily need to work on anything like that right now. It's the prioritization, right? And it is getting the fuller picture. It is reducing. I talked about it before. Swivel chair. Like you don't have to look at a bunch of different sources. You have it coming to you. Then you can pick and choose what source you or what tool you want to use to be able to address it, whether it is picking up the phone or it's going to another team or whatever the case may be. It's really adding focus to what you're doing based off of what the data is saying you possibly should be doing.
Okay. Thanks for sharing all that. I think this was very insightful for me as well. Just actually like getting to sit down and talk to you about like what you actually do. So thanks once again for like making time to talk to me. Hope to chat with you again
Okay,
sometime.
great. Thank you.
If you guys watched all the way here, thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. We post every week. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.